So I'm talking a little bit silently because my daughter's asleep. Everybody is KO in the house except for me. It's not even late yet, but we just came back from our mini holiday and like everyone is like totally exhausted. It was like 30 degrees out there. We just like we had like these intense days with dining outside or like for the morning for breakfast, for lunch, for evening. Really, so Sophia did such a great job, like really staying up so late, and oh, she's just so much fun. And my nephew and them together, it was like it was like enjoyment on a next level. I'm telling you, and my desire for that kind of life, like I already love the fact that we get to experience these kinds of getaways, right? I absolutely love it. But my desire to like actually live a life in that kind of environment, like really living outside, that's been like a big desire of mine for so long. We've talked about moving to Italy for the longest time. My father actually lives in Italy, so pretty soon we are going up there for like at least 2 weeks, maybe even a month, to really experience that outside life. It's like such, you just like function at such a different level. I just absolutely love it. And for me, that's like living the good life, right? Really living outdoors, being outside all the time, dining with family, having fun, having quality time. Just like it's like a dream come true. So I feel so blessed and humble that I get to experience this, and it really like awakened an even deeper desire inside of my heart to manifest this in a even uh, a profound way, in an even larger on an even larger scale. So of course, like my life is blessed with miracles, and one of the miracles I manifested actually a couple of years ago is one of my ex, like former clients, who is now really like a soul sister. And it was so interesting because she came on my path, I think, around 2018. I've told this story in the Dutch podcast a number of times, but she came on my path probably around 2018. Never heard of law of attraction, heard me speak about that in the craziest ways, and then she started uh, really getting interested in law of attraction and Abraham Hicks, and really that's where her journey from the law of attraction part at least started. And she totally did her own thing, and then like 1 year ago, no, almost 2 years ago, she came to me again and she was like, "Oh my God, I really want to work with you one on one. Well, can you help me with this?" And I'm like, "I totally can help you with this." And we started working one on one with her first launching, and it was such a great success. And she's running like a really amazing soul aligned, oh my God, multiple figure business. It's really such a blessing to witness and view. And one of the blessings of actually working with these amazing women is that I get a lot of gifts as well. Like the work, like of course I get paid for my work, but I can always get like extra gifts, like in energy. And she gave me the gift of her course, and I always forget the name of the course, but when she first launched it, it was like a magical life within 6 weeks. I always remember that title, and it really stuck with me. And I started working with her course probably like 1.5 year ago, and I absolutely freaking love it. I'm a manifesting generator, so I tend to work with some people and then I will just move on to another person. But there are like certain type of courses that I get back to every time, and Arenzina's course is like one of the courses I just get back to, and she's actually now up leveling it. So I feel really like, oh my God, such an amazing present because she's upgrading it. So I get to go through it again. And when we drove back from Roermond to our house, I was listening to her first new module, And even though, like, we all, of course, we all know a lot of things about manifesting, but like everybody has their own specific way of explaining it, and she has a very unique way of explaining it. She's very good. She's like a real teacher. Like, I'm more like of an energy shifter. That's of course why she came to me, because I can really shift your energy, and I can just like make you go from like zero to, no, I don't know, a, like 100,000 in like such a short time, just by shifting your energy. I don't really explain things like she does. I use a different technique. With me, it's really about my energy, but she has something. She's like really such an amazing teacher. So she explains it so well, and I love the fact like when she has this prompting exercise at the end, and then she always asks the question, which I love because I always do that myself. What is your biggest takeaway from like the first lesson? I always used to ask that in my podcast as well. Write down your first, like your biggest takeaway from the podcast. It's such an amazing thing to do, and I actually did a call to action as well yesterday in my post without even hearing her first module yet. But I also said like, what's your biggest takeaway? Because we tend to listen to information like sort of more passively, and that can be sort of like an addiction, right? Listen, 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 listen to all kinds of content, but we don't really integrate it. And by really actually grabbing your journal, and every time you listen to a podcast or every time you listen to a course or whatever, write down your biggest takeaways. I absolutely freaking love it. So she shared something which was so interesting because I never really viewed it that way. She was explaining how um like everything has their own how do you say it in English? Let me see. Um I don't know how to explain it. Um Form. Everything has its own form. Well, let's put it the way the way it expresses itself. Probably not. Anyway, water can have like you can have like steam or you can have ice cubes, right? And both is made from water. So she used that analogy to really explain energy, um, and how that works. And it was very interesting, and it really triggered a lot of new questions inside of me. That's how I actually love listening to other people, and why I love listening to courses, because it really, especially if you're a responding kind of type like me, and probably a lot of you girls and women are actually responding kind of types in their human design. What's really so cool about it is when you listen to somebody, it gives you input, and then you like actually get triggered and inspired to like take it next level. So that always happens to me. So I listened to her and I heard explain her things, and I'm like, oh my god, this actually activates so much questions inside of me. I'm excited to dive deep into this, to really, really dive into these questions and see what kind of answers I can manufacture, what kind of information I can come up with. So that I already loved. And then she also asks you to write down your wishes and your desires. And she, of course, works with the Sedona method. So that's a method where you actually release your limiting thoughts, right? Or actually, you release everything. It's just like it really helps you to get to that state zero almost. There are like numbers of techniques you can do that, right? So the Honoponopono, I always say it the wrong way, but that's also a technique to really get to that zero state, right? You really want to get to that zero state, and from that place, you can manifest like the most amazing things. Well, the Sedona method actually explains that as well, and Arizina has her own unique way of expressing that in a very beautiful, soul aligned way, at least I think. And let me see, what did I want to say about that? What I want to say about that is that she asks you to write down your desires. So I wrote down my desires, and then she also asks like, what is the most, like, what are the things and people and circumstances you actually now can come up with that sort of feel like they are in your way. So whenever I hear those questions, I just start writing, and I just receive this beautiful manifesting writing journaling set from my husband for my birthday. It's beautiful. It's like Mont Blanc. It's a new pen from Mont Blanc. I already had a beautiful pen from Mont Blanc, but it was a little bit older. So he gave me this new one with like gold on it. It's like a special edition. It's orange. It's so beautiful. And then he gave me this beautiful yellow leather journal to write in. And I'm like, I absolutely like every time I get gifts like that, I get so excited because it feels like, oh my God, a new manifesting chapter just opened up. Whenever I get new journals, a new manifesting a chapter gets opened up. I really, really love it. And now with this new manifesting pen, I'm like, hallelujah. I just like get so excited about stuff like that. But anyways, I just started writing and writing and writing, and I came to the most interesting insight since a long time. So when I was a little girl, I always experienced like sort of OCD kind of yeah, treka, how do you say that? Symptoms. I always was afraid that when I didn't do certain things, that something would happen to my mom. So I wouldn't wear certain underwear. I would always check the refrigerator 10,000 times. I would like put my jewelry in a specific kind of way because if I would do it any other way, she would die or something would happen to her. Or when she would go away for her work and she would travel from time to time, she would go to Miami or other places. And whenever we stayed at home and she was in the airplane, like I used to really wear a lot of my mom's clothes, but when she was in the airplane, I would never ever wear her clothes because I was convinced if I would do that, she would crash and die. Okay, so that's like a sort of my history. I came a long way, I gotta say, because a lot of it I really, really do well these days. Still, when I'm encountering stress situations, it tends to come up a little bit, but like not in the extreme way that I used to experience it. But when I started writing about my desires, when I wrote down I have the desire to have like a lot of money in the bank. So like I don't really have issues manifesting money and I don't have any issues spending money. So really money really circulates with me very beautifully and very well, and that's like something I manifested and I'm very proud of. Like that's if you know my money history and my money story, you know that's actually a very long, I came from a very long way. So the fact that I get to live this kind of life and spend a lot of money and receive a lot of money is already such an amazing manifestation, right? But now I'm like in a different stage in my life and I'm like, it will be so juicy to have like lots of money in the bank as well. So I still love spending money and I still love receiving money and making money, but I would really, really love it if I had a bank account with a lot of money on it. Not to stagnate things, not from a place of scarcity, not because I think like something's bad is gonna happen and I need all that money. I just actually love the physical expression of all that money on my bank account and not only have it vibrationally there, because vibrationally I already feel it, right? I can already feel vibrationally that you can sort of turn certain buttons and then the money starts flowing again. But I just really would love it if it was also manifested on my bank account in large numbers. Like I'm talking about like 7 zeros, right? Like millions. It would be amazing. So even when I'm saying this, and that's what I really discovered when I started writing this down, I'm like, oh my God. As soon as I wrote it down, so I felt that old anxiety coming up. I felt that old pattern coming up from, okay, when I ask for something like that, I'm like pretty far in my manifesting journey that I know when I ask something and I want it, it comes. But there is still a part of me that's scared that when I do that, I actually also invite misery into my life. And this is a big one to actually express right now. But the first thing that came to my mind is like, I'm not gonna write that down. I wrote it down, but as soon as I wrote it down, I was like, oh my God, now I'm actually so afraid because I asked this, it's gonna come in a way that I don't want it to come. So, like, the first thing that came up was like, oh my God, then maybe my mom is gonna die. And I mean, if she would pass away, I would like inherit a lot of money. But like, that's like, like I just explained, from a young age, that's been my biggest fear. So somehow I just made this connection between my mom and money, because she does have a lot of money in her bank account. I'm not sure if this is correct to say. I don't want to make her a target or anything. But I mean, both of my parents actually have a lot of money. Well, actually, my father even has more money than my mother. He has a lot of money also on bank account, and I don't want him to die either. But especially my mom, I don't want her to die, right? So I just discovered that I have a lot of fear around that. I somehow managed to make a connection in my mind that me asking for a lot of money is gonna mean that that she or he is gonna die, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I absolutely love it that I became aware of it, because now I am aware of it. I can express it here in this podcast, which is already a little bit like, I do feel like I have to ask my mom for permission if I can post it. I think she will be okay. She will be okay with it. I hope she'll be okay with it, because I think it's very valuable podcast to share with you women, because I think we all have these kind of stories around money, and that's actually what is preventing us from really attracting that kind of money, right? So for me, this came up, I wrote it down, and I'm now gonna see how I can actually let go of this story. And that is the blessing of really becoming aware of the stories in your mind, really journaling your way into wealth, because that is the key. And that's why in my programs, I always work with so many prompting exercises, because I really believe that the way to manifest your biggest dreams and desires is actually by journaling your way into it. And I've actually been thinking a long time about maybe like offering something really designed on that benefit, like really that prompting, the journaling prompting part. But right now I'm actually really incorporating it into my wealth frequency mentorship program, and that's actually, yeah, I just love it. I see how amazing, what kind of amazing results they get. And really, because you work with me one on one in WhatsApp, it's almost even more magnetic. But yeah, well, I'll just let that sort of evolve. For now, I leave you with this kind of information. So write down your biggest takeaway, and I hope to speak to you on the next episode. Bye for now.